Hey guys, thanks a lot for joining. The format of this week's show is ever so slightly different to normal. It is, as usual, a 45-minute show, a very strict 45 minutes. But this week we're going to do 20 minutes of tips and tricks. But we're actually going to open up the seats after 20 minutes because we want to do some Q&A to help you guys with exactly what it is that you're struggling with. So please do hang around for that. In about 20 minutes, we'll be opening the seats up for people to jump in and ask. Please don't try and call in before that time. I've left the seat open because my regular co-host Vincenzo is actually currently on a train in New York City. So he's out and about. But we wanted to show that live streaming can be done from anywhere. So as long as he gets his signal in time, he will be jumping into the show. In the meantime, for those of you who don't know, this lovely lady over here is my mum. Hi, mum. Please. Cool. Yeah, we're all good. In fact, Mum, I don't know if you've got your phone there. Do you want to log out and come back in on your phone and see how you get on with that? Because I want to show people that it can be done from both. I'm broadcasting from a desktop, and if you could jump over to iOS, that would be pretty awesome too. I know Vincenzo's going to do that.
I'll do that. Okay.
Can't hear Mum. Oh, weird. Not sure what's going on there, Dawn. The audio is coming through fine here, so hopefully when she comes back on iOS, that won't be a problem. I had to have her turned up really loud in my headphones, so hopefully on iOS, when she's been on iOS before, it's not been a big problem. So before anybody says, this isn't the microphone I'm using, so it doesn't matter that it's on the top of my head. So that is a big one. Have you got your headset, Mum? Have you got your headphones?
No, shall I put this one back on?
Actually, you can plug. Have you got your actual Apple ones?
Oh, I don't know.
Because otherwise, I'm going to get a horrible echo from you.
Oh, will this not plug in?
It's not got the right pin to do the microphone as well. You could try it. Try just the headphone jack in it and see whether you can still use the phone microphone.
Okay.
Hello? Oh, we lost her. So, guys, this was unexpected. So, obviously, this is the nature of live streaming. One of the things that you need to bear in mind here is that normally this wouldn't happen. Normally, there'd be a lot of preparation beforehand. Hello, can you hear us?
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. And there's now no echo, which is awesome. So you can use this and the iOS, apparently. So that's pretty cool.
That's good.
Awesome. In fact, this is better audio than when you're on your computer. Can everybody in the chat hear my mum now as well? If you could get a little bit of feedback there, that would be pretty awesome. Okay, cool. So we're better on that. So for those of you who don't know, my mum is 65 over there, and despite being 65 and people kind of having a preconceived idea on ages and who you can learn from, my mum is one of her recent claims is she's been teaching periscopes to 23-year-olds. So you know she's. Don't ever judge a book by its cover. You can learn from a whole range of different people. So always be open to learning from different people. My mum is constantly teaching me things, and hopefully vice versa. She's learning stuff from me now. This week we did, the last couple of weeks, for those of you who didn't know, I've actually been over in the UK. I've been over in the UK doing a conference. Let's Leverage.info is the website for the conference, because there's actually another one coming up on the 31st of October here, where we will be doing some live streaming into the event and out of the event. So that's definitely something that's worth checking out, is the Let's Leverage conference. But I was also privileged enough, my mum convinced me to travel across the most expensive water in the world to the Isle of Wight, to go to a Chamber of Commerce business expo where I actually had the fortune of meeting the person who taught me to be a chef. And it was a student becomes a teacher situation, in the fact that I got to teach him about live streaming, and so now I'm actually consulting for the college that I studied at about how they can use live streaming for carrying out, so using a number of different platforms. So as well as the public ones that we've got, like Periscope for showcasing bits about the show, about the college, and Blab as well, which they're going to be looking at integrating into their media mix. They're also going to be using a platform. If you haven't seen it before, it's appear.in, which is basically fairly similar to this, but it's the private version, and they're going to be looking at using that as a tool for carrying out their group tutorials for courses, which is really awesome news to see someone doing it there. Hey, Jenny Q, grab a seat if you want. Feel free to jump in. It's always great to have your smiley, bubbly face on camera. Come join me and my mum if you're free to talk. So guys, I have sound. I know, Jenny. I know it's, for some bizarre reason, it all just worked today. I have had a reboot and stuff, so we're all good. For those of you who don't know, Jenny hosts an awesome show as well called The Daily Q. Make sure you do go and follow her and check that out as well. So one of the things within live streaming that's really, really important is it's really important to support. For those of you who didn't catch Brian Fanzo, which is iSocialFan's keynote at Periscope Summit, the topic of his was "We is greater than me." It's all about the community, and that's couldn't be more prevalent across a whole load. Hey, Chocolate Johnny's in the house.
Oh, hello,
Johnny. If you've got time, jump in, say hi to Mum. So the whole community aspect of it is really, really important, and this is something that Mum and I are talking about all the time, because we run networking groups and we're connecting businesses all the time, is to look at the bigger picture rather than just yourself. How can you support those other people? I mean, whilst I was at the Business Expo, we were helping people learn how to leverage Twitter, how to use all the different social media platforms, but especially around the live streaming. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a whole load of exciting new stuff on Blab. Some of this will be new, some of this will be old for some of you if you're on here all the time. So you can actually now auto-publish your videos from Blab straight into YouTube, which is, I've been ranting and raving about it since the beginning about repurposing your content, repurposing being across a whole medium. So, screenshots to Instagram, little snippets of your video maybe across to Instagram. You might want to push it out to Facebook, put it out through Twitter. So that's it. If you're spending an hour, or like this show is at 45 minutes, when you do 45 minutes of work, why wouldn't you then repurpose it to carry on providing content to your audience at a time that's suitable for them? So for those of you who didn't catch the show last week, we did a little session. So we had Sarah Moore on last week helping us out with discussing live streaming by not live streaming, which sounds like a bit of a strange topic. Sorry, apologies. I think it was 2 weeks ago actually now. And the live streaming by not live streaming is all the elements that go around your live stream. It's promoting it, letting your audience know, it's what to do afterwards, all of those kind of things. And we're actually going to have, hopefully time permitting, by the end of today, there will be a new blog post going out that is all about all of those elements. Hey, Jenny Q! Great to have you on the show.
I didn't know I was already on. I was making adjustments. I didn't know I was already on camera.
I was too quick with the accept button.
Oh,
hey.
Live streaming.
It's great to have you in. Jenny, meet Mum. Mum, meet Jenny.
Look, I've got piles of blankets and boxes all over.
Hi.
Hi, Lynn. It's so nice to meet you. This is so cool that you.
So my mum is actually one of my business partners, and she runs the UK side of the business. And then we have. There's actually 6 of us, but we've got. So talking about live streaming, I just had a message in from Vincenzo. He's on a train, desperately trying to get on, but the signal isn't good enough. So this is it. It's real, it's live, and it's raw. So Vincenzo will be joining us as soon as he can get a signal that's strong enough. So Mum deals with the UK side, and we actually deal now in the States and in Canada and in the UK and in Australia. With various different businesses, helping them across a number of different platforms. So, yeah, Jenny, give us your top tips for for live streaming. Cool. You're on here, you're prevalent, and you're doing your daily Q show and doing interviews and things. What's your kind of top tips other than tech people sorting out their own audio issues?
My top tip then is making friends with tech people who can help you sort out your audio issues. No, seriously, it's the same thing that everybody always says, but you've got to fake it, because the moment you try to fake it, people are going to call the bullshit.
So yeah, and that's it. I mean, across all different.
I see Vincenzo in here. Is he like? Oh, he just.
Oh, he's in now, is he? I got a message. Yeah, I got the Twitter message saying that he had a problem getting in. But if he's I think he's having some connection issues. In fact, I've just lost Jenny Q. I'm not sure if anyone else can still hear her.
Yeah, Don said.
Oh. Mum, can you still hear Jenny?
No.
Oh, I've lost you, Jenny. Oh, she's calling back in. I think she just lost connection there. Hey, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go again. Authenticity was as far as we got, okay. I think, before I lost you.
I love reading the comments. No, we can't hear her. No, we can't hear her. She's gone.
We've got you again.
Yeah, Chocolate Johnny said fakers won't make it on live streaming.
Absolutely. Again, Brian Fanzo says, if you suck offline, then you'll suck online. You need to be a good person. You need to be authentic. Otherwise, it will shine through. And live streaming is making it harder and harder for people who have maybe been faking it with other platforms to now come on and, tout their wares, for want of an older phrase for it, because people now can hold you accountable as well in the platforms, which is, in my opinion, an awesome thing to have going on. So, Mum, talking about people people not judging books by covers and you teaching people. Tell us a little bit about that story. I'm sure people would be keen to hear that one.
The story of the 23-year-old in Missy J Cafe.
Yeah, and actually the spin-off from that as well.
Yeah, Missy J Cafe is one of our they're one of our members of our network group. So it's a place that I often meet clients, and in fact the cafe owner is going to write Lynn's office desk on the wall, because that's where I always sit. Anyway, I had arranged to meet a 23-year-old who actually is very up in the business world. So it was a major surprise to me that he didn't know Periscope. So I sat at the table and taught him Periscope, and Tristan was coming in. Tristan was actually saying, Mum, why don't you sit next to each other rather than opposite each other? He was giving us instructions. So there was all this fun and banter going on. And so Matthew sort of skewed round and came at a funny angle next to me. There was an awful lot of banter going on. And after I finished scoping with him and he left the cafe, there was a guy on the next table who says, hey, I want to meet you. I want a meeting with you next week. So I had a meeting with him the following week. And so that was really good. So, yeah.
Go, Lynn.
So there we go.
So again, it's about building authentic relationships, as well as being just authentic in yourself and how you present yourself is, their Mum's just given a really good example of, sharing the knowledge with some other people. I mean, I know that Jenny mentions me a fair bit in her shows about how I kind of come in and help whenever there's a problem, and I'm there to support and see how those shows are going. And that's it, the whole community aspect of going in, helping other people. If you know something, share that knowledge with other people. It enriches the whole environment for everyone. And then it's also, you have this law of reciprocation where people will come back and will help you out as well. So
Tristan, can I jump in here again? I did a scope in the fancy dress shop, and it was soon after that the fancy dress owner bought a ticket to our conference. Don't know whether that was significant, might well have been. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. That is awesome.
So I mean, we have people all the time saying to us that, live streaming won't work for my business. And this was a brilliant example. We actually had this at the business expo we were at. Believe it or not, it was a guy who sells coffee that told us this wouldn't work, which I thought that's a really, really strange thing to say. As being from hospitality, I know 100% that would be an industry that would work around live streaming, but he was just not interested to learn. As the phrase says, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So you can't help somebody unless they want to be helped. And we always make ourselves available to help those people. So on that note, bearing that actually we're 3 minutes short of it, if anyone else wants to jump in the seat, or if you don't and you just want to ask a question, please use /Q in the chat space and then write your question. That will highlight it for us to answer your questions. If you've got any specific questions that you want to know around live streaming. If not, we can kind of carry on talking about the bits that we've got already. So for those of you that... Sorry, go on, Jenny.
Well, I was just I don't want to know. If you're going to go somewhere, go.
No, you go. I've got something I can bring up. I'm just going to refer to something anyway, so it gives me a minute to look it up.
Well, I was just going to share with you that I was actually at Brian Fanzo's. You were talking about Brian Fanzo's keynote, and I was actually there. And I mean, it's even good in the replay. I've watched the replay, but it was amazing. Oh no, Andy. Anyway, I'm glad that you got all my piles of blankets and stuff and boxes in the background. Anyway, so we sorry, a little distracted. Remember, Andy, when you said I didn't get distracted? Now we can never say that again, right? Anyway, so it was so cool to be in that room when Brian Fanzo was giving that keynote, because he was talking about community, and then we were feeling community, and we were experiencing community. But for me, I've heard some of the tops talk. I've heard Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy. I'm trying to think of some others, right, with big name keynotes. And Brian Fanzo's was right up there in the top 5 easily of all the keynotes I've ever heard. So if you guys haven't had a chance to watch that replay,
so for anyone who wants to see it, if you go to my Twitter account, my Twitter's fairly active, so you may have to scroll down a little bit, but there's a picture of Brian on stage giving his We Is Greater Than Me talk from Periscope Summit. I'll tell you what, I'll repost it after the show for anyone who wants to go and see it and watch back the broadcast. I would definitely recommend watching that. There's some really good information and knowledge in there that's definitely worth listening to. So if anybody wants to ask any specific questions, if not, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about some of the cool features that Blab have added, including the co-host feature. Which is something that people have been screaming and wanting for a long time. And I know that have you actually used that yet, Jenny? Have you had people in doing your co-hosting?
Mm-hmm.
How did you find it? Did it all work okay,
Yes.
or were there any unexpected bugs with it?
No unexpected bugs. I love it because I can kind of relax. I use it during my interviews, and I can relax into the actual guests, and focusing there instead of, being split. I think the interview goes much better. I don't have to worry about, because what I've had happen on many interviews is I'm so focused on what's going on with the guest that I miss trolls who are really maybe commenting some pretty offensive things. And, then it gets everybody distracted. Except for me, obviously. So then when I finally get there, then I've got to go back through and delete all those comments and, so I love it. Love it. My big surprise, I guess, if any, and it's not even a negative, is that you can assign more than one person a co-host at a time.
What do you think the big Blab collaboration will be? Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, community? I'm not sure. I actually missed the last town hall. I'm due to go back and watch it because as I say, I've been over in the UK, so I've been a little bit missing in action online for a little while. I've been active in certain areas, but I've had to rely on different kinds of internet connections, including Wi-Fi on a plane, believe it or not. So whilst I was flying from Australia to the UK to surprise my mum. I was using Wi-Fi all the way so that she didn't catch on, although apparently my location services weren't off until after I'd flown over Brisbane, and it did. But that was still in Australia, so there was nothing outside of Australia. So, I could have been technically.
I couldn't track him.
She wasn't able to track me, and for those who didn't catch it, actually, I think was the chat with Kerry on the record. Do you know? Because it was Kerry Phipps. Mum was. It was the middle of the night when I was due to arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning to surprise my mum on her birthday. And I mean, this is a really good use of live streaming, was for everyone to share that experience of surprising my mum. And I was going to Periscope and knock on the front door so that everyone in Australia could join and watch and be involved in that. But actually, the circumstances changed slightly, and Kerry Phipps managed to get my mum onto a blab so that she was distracted and less aware that I was still travelling and driving from the ferry to her house. And so I had all these tweets coming in.
Oh, cool.
And everybody
this was 5 o'clock in the morning. He was going to surprise me at 8 o'clock, but I couldn't sleep. And so I popped on my iPhone to see who was around, because of course I know a lot of the Australians now through Tristan, and Kerry said, why don't we do a birthday blab? So I had to get up and get dressed, because of course I was in bed. So I got up and got dressed, and so she was distracting me, and they were telling Tristan that I was awake and he could knock on the door at 5:15 in the morning.
So I mean, this goes back to showing the whole community side, that people were communicating with me. I actually had tweets coming in over the top of my Periscope to tell me, was mum, could she hear when I was knocking on the door and things like that? And was she ready? And we actually tried to get her. Fortunately, she was actually on iOS when she was on Blab, so she could come to the door with the Blab. So she was simultaneously on Blab with those friends, while my other friends were on Periscope watching my broadcast. So you kind of got this Periscope inside a Blab and Blab inside a Periscope thing going on, which was really cool. And lots of people gave us great feedback, and it was said that it was a really good use of live streaming, to share. It's about sharing what you're about. I mean, Periscope, the whole concept of what a Periscope itself is kind of that little peek into someone's world somewhere just quickly. And that was kind of what we did was, hey, I'm outside my mum's, I'm about to surprise her for her birthday. And yeah, everybody really enjoyed it. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. And it's cool that your mom is so hip that she was already on live streaming. Like it was.
Yeah, I hung out the window first. I knew at 5:15 in the morning there was only going to be one person knocking on my door. But no, I'm not in Pompeii. I'm across the water.
So cool.
Whoever that LinkedIn.
Oh, lived in Pompeii. Yeah. So the reason that he probably thinks you're in Portsmouth is my mum lives on this tiny little island that's 26 miles across off the south coast of England. And apparently it's not important enough for Facebook to think that it's got any major significance. So the closest place they can list themselves as living is in Portsmouth, which is quite often why people say, that they're from Portsmouth and things. So, that's why.
Gospel's not far from Portsmouth, so that's why that conversation's there. Yeah.
Got some people ringing in now, so if anyone wants to ask any questions or add anything to the conversation, please do feel free to jump in. Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Hey, I don't have any question, but I want to get on because I want to kudos to Lynn. Job well done, madam, because you raised such a fine young man. The way he talk and everything, how he react to you, and I just admire, the conversation between the two of you, and I thought that I have to come in and just say, wow.
Thank you.
Great job.
He doesn't always do as he's told, though.
Well, actually, there's a funny story behind that, in the fact that I actually started my first business when I was 12, when I was at school, and my mum actually got called in because the school saw it as me being maybe dishonest because I was running a tuck shop, and really they were just a bit jealous that I thought of it and they didn't. And my mum at that moment could quite easily have quashed the entrepreneurial spirit in me, but instead she decided to nurture it, and hence why today we're now business partners, working from opposite sides of the globe, which actually she gets a few more mentions than I've let on in the book that I'm writing at the moment, which is due to come out hopefully within the next month or two. If anyone wants any little sneak peeks to that, Instagram is the place to check that out. I'll chuck a link in the chat because I've been sharing some little snippets of that as it's been written. So
I just told him not to get caught if he was going to do the tuck shop. Just don't get caught.
Then trust me, I have 4 children.
Nice.
Raising such a fine young man like that, not by accident. So I salute you and congratulations. And Andy, you are a remarkable young man. Awesome.
Just doing my thing, adding the value to the community, and that's the thing, and that's why I do this show with Vincenzo. And for those of you who don't know, I actually also do a show with Stephen Caggiano, where we do, again, it's another 45-minute show, although I think we're going to trim it down. We're going to trim the fat and make it a half-hour show, just for the people to come on the replay and follow along. And we basically get someone in the hot seat and we run through with their business how to set up their advertising, and we give them real hands-on advice there right on the show. And because people watch and listen to things and they think, yeah, brilliant, I'll implement that later. And we actually do that, and that's like a free service that we do for people once a week, where we jump in and allow for that. So if you wanted to find
that show so much.
Yeah, if anyone wants to find that, we've got a hashtag for the show, which is in4you. So it's hashtag IN number 4 and then you. So yeah, if you wanted to check that out on Twitter, I'll be posting it. I'll be reposting that out after the show as well. I'll do a couple of tweets. So that one is, so I'm going to give it to you in Australian Eastern Standard Time, because that's the time that I host my bit of the show. That's at 11. Oh, I think we moved it forwards. I think it's actually 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on a Monday. So it's for the States, it's on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Stephen, you can tell us the time in your time zone. We were just talking about you and the show that we do together, about helping people.
Hello, Stephen.
So it's always great.
Thank you very much for allowing me to get on and say a few things that are on my mind. You two make me smile. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mom and son team. That's just.
So yeah, we've got quite a few very interesting people joining us. I see Darren Rouse is in the house.
I love that show.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I've lost you again. Oh, I've lost Jenny again. I'm not sure if anyone else can hear her.
No, I can see her name up, but I can see a black square.
I'm on LinkedIn. Yes, I am. If you look for Tristan Griffiths BA, I will actually put my link in. If you give me a couple of minutes, I'll get it. So if anyone wanted to see the show that I do with Stephen, I'll put up, if you're not already following me, you'll get notified about it every time I post it. If you're already following me, if you're not already following, you can use the link that I've just put up there, which is blab.im/ATW networking. And you can see all the shows we've got coming up. We're just about today to schedule in a whole load of new shows. There is actually a really exciting show being discussed, which is something fairly new for Blab as well. So it'll be a new Blab one as well. So Darren, did you want to jump in the seat? I'd love to have a chat with you on the show as well. See if there's any way we can help you identify where you go with that. Because that's what this show's all about, is people coming in and getting help and finding out more about various different platforms and which way they can use them for their businesses. So, I think, I'm just, that's the right link there for my LinkedIn.
He's not Welsh.
I'm not Welsh, but Griffiths is a very Welsh name. So, yes, believe it or not, that the surname is a very Welsh name, but there's probably Welsh somewhere.
His father was called Ivor Griffiths, but he wasn't a bit Welsh.
So if anybody else wanted to jump in, ask any questions, and join us on camera, feel free to do that. We've got Darren jumping in. Hey Darren, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys? I've been off Blab for a whole week, so
Yeah, you're getting shaky and withdrawal
I know.
symptoms.
I was
Right?
like, got home and I'm straight on.
Yeah. So how are you finding it? Have you found your use and your niche for it yet, or are you still kind of sounding out?
Yeah. Look, it's interesting. I jumped onto Periscope fairly early on and didn't really feel like it resonated with me, and That's grown on me. But Blab, I think. I don't know. As soon as I grabbed onto it, I was like, yeah, this feels more at home to me. Although I'm still trying to find my feet, I guess, in terms of my natural way. I think I communicate best if I've prepared something and if I take people on a journey. I like conversation, but I don't feel I'm as useful in conversation because I'm a bit slower paced in my thinking. My worst nightmare is getting up on stage and doing a Q&A because I don't feel I've got as much useful stuff to say off the top of my head. So I'm trying to find my feet with that because I know Blab works best when you do have a conversation. So I've been experimenting with, talking for 10 or 15 minutes and then opening it up for Q&A. And I think that's probably where I feel most at home.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. It's brilliant because it's bringing out different elements from different people. I mean, with this show, we tend to. It depends. I don't know if you caught earlier on. Vincenzo's actually on a train and can't get signal, so I'm sure he'll get heckled by people on Twitter afterwards for it. But we wanted to actually do it because he was out. We wanted him to be live, using it out and about, because that's one thing. There's a lot of talking heads on especially with Blab. People are doing it from the computer because the interface is actually easier to use from here. But also we wanted to show that it can be used out and about. And actually we kind of missed it slightly, and only because there was a family emergency on a previous show. I was about to go live with 1,000 students in the background on my iOS device. But it relied on having someone solidly on the connection, and family emergency meant I was the only person coming in on the show, so I couldn't do that and then disappear, or the show would have closed. So it's live and it's raw, and you have to adapt to it. So it's great seeing people finding their feet and doing different things with it.
For sure.
I see Saba's in here. Saba's killing it with live streaming and hosting some really, really good blabs. So if you wanted to jump in, Saba, please do grab that other seat as well. It'd be awesome to have you in.
I'm finding Periscope much more reliable on the iOS app than Blab. I've really struggled to stay on, and it might just be the Aussie broadband speeds.
I found that coming back from the UK.
But even on Wi-Fi on my phone, I've struggled on Blab. So not sure whether I'm sure it's an area they'll keep improving.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they have added in, which I think is a great feature, and it's one that we discussed quite early on, about showing when the connection is bad, so that people know that that's what's going on. Like when you're connecting, it tells you that it's a bad connection. It kind of tests your connection. That's a good feature, because there's no point jumping in, disrupting your conversation if you're not going to be able to hang about and add some.
Oh, that's good. Sounds like they've added that this week, because I haven't seen that one, and I just saw that they allowed me to share it or not share it with my followers as well, which has been added this week. That's
a really cool feature, I think, as well, because you might want to jump in just to say something, or I do a lot of tech bits, and I might jump into someone's show just to say, oh, have you accepted the permissions at the top of your Google browser? It's not really worth 1,300 people or whatever jumping to the show to go, where is he? He's gone. I'm saying it's good for bringing people to the show, though. Hey, how's it going?
Hi. So you mentioned going mobile, and I said, well, I'll just jump in.
That's awesome.
Because usually I do a blab from my computer, and so it's kind of fun to jump in while I'm walking around.
Awesome. Thanks. I really appreciate that, because this is one of the things we wanted to show off on the show, is doing this. And I have done one before where we actually had Carlos Gill on in as well. So Vincenzo and Carlos and that were having a chat, and I actually started as a talking head and dropped out and freed up my window, and then I broadcast from the park down the road. So I left them running. I was obviously still listening. I went to the park to do it, just to show that you can do it. But there's a lot of things to consider when you do that. Obviously, in here, it's, despite the fact I can hear lots of people drilling outside, it's a controlled environment where you can lock external noise areas and things like that. Whereas when you're out and about, it's a little bit more unpredictable. You might get police cars and
Right.
fire engines and things going past, which actually we had on a Blab from Blab headquarters this week. Someone was live there, and there was, in downtown San Fran, there's lots of emergencies and things, and you could just hear all these emergency services vehicles flying past. So,
Well, if I had joined 30 seconds earlier, you would have heard the train. So yes, it would definitely, there's outside noises, but I happen to live in a very quiet town, and the worst it gets is really loud birds. It's not so bad.
I get that because I work different time zones. I actually get up quite early. I'm actually fairly early to bed. Yes, I do sleep a little bit. And I then get up really early because I work across with the UK and I work with the States as well. So trying to match up all the time zones is a fun one, which I'm sure, Darren, you're finding that working with people.
So I'd like to add to the conversation, but I'm sorry, but I don't see the topic. So, and I'm sure I have something to add. I always have something.
It's just tips and tricks, tips, tricks, and trends for live streaming. So it's anything. It's just kind of an open discussion around live streaming. So.
Okay, well, definitely microphone and lighting, I'm sure, has already been discussed. I also think having main points as if you're on live radio is a very good thing to have. If you go into a studio or if you're being interviewed by media, you always have your 3 main points you must get in somehow. I think it's really important, especially in live streaming, to have that nearby, or else you just get too distracted, especially on Periscope. I've actually wanted to do this sometime, and you can steal this idea, but you need to download somebody's actual script of what they're saying on Periscope and read it as a comedy stand-up act, because it's so hysterical. They'll be like, oh, and today on Periscope we're going to talk about 3 tips. Oh, hi, Susie, how you doing? And then we're going to, they're just so all over the place. Yeah. And I just sit there and laugh so hard because it's like, there's no point A to point B, except for some very, very smart people like Kim Garst and people on Periscope who can keep their composure through most of the Periscope. But most of the time, it's just so discombobulated. You really have to have your show notes in front of you and just try and stick to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good thing as well. Like you say, having the main points, but it does like with it being live and things, it does kind of go with the flow. And this, I mean, Blab as a platform itself, obviously the conversation flows because it's a conversation between a group of people, which makes it a little bit easier for the flow of the conversation rather than Periscope, where it's kind of you're broadcasting and then distracted by comments of people coming in. So it's slightly different. So.
It's just so funny, and it's like that whole kind of joke about squirrel, but to the nth degree. And so I have to say that my favorite Periscopes are the ones that are out and about and the ones that show off where they are. My favorite blabs are talking head blabs, where there is some serious discussion and everybody stays on topic pretty much. I'm in the shade. So, but that's my personal favorite way of enjoying those 2 live streaming apps at the moment.
Yeah, brilliant, awesome. Thanks for jumping in and sharing. I think actually, Darren, can I keep you in for 2 seconds? Because Saba just wanted to say hi. So my mum, I think, was going to jump, and Saba was going to jump in.
Yeah, I can jump out. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mum.
How do I jump out? Oh, I know.
I'll do it. I've got you. Hey, Saba's on her way in. Amy, if you wanted to jump in as well, if you're free and wanted to jump in. If not, don't feel any pressure to. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? That was your mom? How cute.
That's great. I need to get my mum on.
My mom teaches live streaming.
Oh my God, that's great. My mom my mom thinks I talk to myself all day. Not all day, but when I do my shows, I get off of it and she starts making fun of me. She's like, oh, you're thanking your audience?
You should get your mum on a show. It's really good for your ratings as well.
Oh yeah, maybe
love that. They're like, oh my God, it's the family.
Yeah, maybe she'll join the Social 545 show tomorrow.
Do that. Get her in. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I've just got my kids to record some intros to my podcast, it's gonna be fun to see how that goes.
Cute.
I bet that will come in and
awesome.
be really good.
Yeah, so live streaming tips. I mean, I went to Chapman University today, which is a university that's local to us here in Orange County, and Mitch Jackson was talking about live streaming and the Periscope Summit, and then I did like a 15-minute speech about Blab, actually. And I introduced it to kids, and I was like, you guys should get on here. You guys should start creating content and really trying to get sort of these college students more involved in the digital space, because I think it's really, really intimidating for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I think you joined in later on. I was just saying at the beginning of this broadcast how I had a bit of a student becomes a teacher moment last week, where I was at a business expo, and the person who taught me to be a chef, I was teaching how they could use live streaming for their group tutorials because obviously they're a head of department lecturer now, and how they could do that. Obviously, that kind of thing would be not maybe suitable for Blab because it's more private. So like something like a peer.in where they could have 8 of the students in there talk about the assignments and stuff like that. Because I know from being there that when they're not lecturing, they're sat in front of a computer. So why would you then say, oh, come in to talk to me when you could just click on a thing and be on screen with them in like 30 seconds from home? So yeah, I think there's the possibilities are great for what you can do with it, and it's just, I guess some people don't quite think outside the box enough of it. We had I mentioned about a guy who reckoned that he was selling coffee and thought that live streaming couldn't do anything for him. I was like, okay. Being from a hospitality space, I walk into places and think, wow, this would be a great place to do some live streaming, or to, just even if it's just about the brand exposure of what your product is or your brand or location even, because it might be a little coffee shop that someone's never seen because it's down a side road. If you were on live stream and walk there, now everyone knows where it is.
Yeah, actually, one of the really cool Periscope accounts that I started following when Periscope came out was Johnny Cupcakes. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they don't actually sell cupcakes. What they sell are shirts in fridges where cupcakes would be. So it's really innovative. It's really cool. I mean, I would have never known about this brick and mortar store if this guy didn't Periscope it, right? So it was kind of an interesting twist to how do you reach your audience? And I think sometimes people get a little bit, I guess, discouraged because they think because they're geographically limited, they won't be able to reach their audience. Like what does a store in Massachusetts have to do with someone here, right? But I think it's all about word of mouth and publicity. And we kind of work on a global scale, right? It's kind of interesting how we're all very connected, even if you're brick and mortar, right? Because you could sell things online.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is a good point that Matthew's brought up here about the hazards of live streaming with students from home is erosion of privacy, raising expectation of universal availability. I mean, that's one of the things that, because I'm obviously now very strangely consulting for the college that I graduated from 15 years ago. But it's the same as customer service using Twitter, which is now a common thing where, it wouldn't have been 10 years ago. They would have had to write the manual of how you do that and how you do it well. In the same way, when you went from in person to on a telephone, there would be a process. It's all about the system and process and setting the clear boundaries. And with that, obviously it's group tutorials and there's a set time for you to come and ask those questions. So it's about making sure that the parameters are there in place, which is similar with this. We kind of set an expectation at the beginning of the show, what the show is going to be about, how long it's going to be. And actually, I am conscious that we've just hit 45 minutes. So if people are cool with it, I'm actually going to run for an extra 15 minutes because it's quite an engaged crowd today. So if people in the chat can let me know if you want us to carry on. Otherwise, we will wrap up and keep it short. But I'm here to help and address some questions and just give you guys as much value as possible in the time that we're here. So
one of the things I've seen recently in a couple of restaurants is they set up light boxes for Instagram photos of their food because people are taking really bad photos of their food. So with live streaming, what about, setting up a little studio in the corner? Because to live stream it creates noise which can disrupt people, but I'm almost wondering whether, a cafe with a...
Like smoking, non-smoking, like streaming, live streaming or not.
Branding behind and... you could set up a little, with, a podcast microphone or something like that. That'd be fun
That'd be quite innovative, and for me, as in a hospitality space, I'd love to see that. If I made a reservation, 7:00, will you be live streaming or taking pictures for Instagram? Because you might not have ever thought of it, but as soon as they ask you that question, what are you going to do when you go to the restaurant? You're going to do one or the other, right? Because they just told you it's okay. And this is another thing. I was consulting for a restaurant in Sydney, and I said, what you need to do is actually it's becoming more accepted to use your mobile at work, and to embrace live streaming for the companies that are doing it well is teaching your staff how to use it properly at work rather than just allowing them free rein to text their friends and tell their boyfriend they're going to be late home and that kind of stuff. But if you do it well, I mean, this restaurant was an open plan restaurant. So if every time food hits the service hatch and people can see it, if there's members of staff taking pictures and posting into Instagram, it's now, without us saying anything, acceptable in that restaurant to do that. Because you ever see people who do it and food blog, they're quite often like, and because it's still not 100% accepted that that's something that people do. That's a full-time job for some people, food blogging and going to restaurants and doing that, but it's still a bit taboo to, be doing that. So making people aware that it is acceptable.
Well, a lot of the brick and mortar stores, I actually recently read an article about this ice cream dessert place called Afters that recently opened, and 2 young guys opened it. And their whole model was that they made their store so Instagrammable that their whole marketing, all the money that they invested into their store was like trying to create very creative walls that had enough like image and creativity where people could just hold their ice cream and then the picture would be in the background, right? And so they have built a huge following, 116,000 people for a dessert shop, right? Every product that they have, every dessert is made so that it's beautiful on Instagram, right? And so when you think about it that way, people who are able to reverse engineer marketing and actually have a business that's actually social media friendly, they're actually doing themselves a favor, right?
Yeah.
And now people from all over like Southern California are visiting this restaurant. And then there's some restaurants that are saying, well, I don't really know the ROI of social media. And I just laugh.
Well, it's funny you say that because this kind of nails right into a point that I've spoken about, or I spoke about at a conference recently, to do with the fact that I gave a really big example. In fact, I'm just trying to find it right now, of how, here we go. A really big example about how you, give me 1 second. If I bring the image up, because I kind of need to show you the image so that it makes sense what I'm saying. There's the link, there you go. So I'm going to put it in the chat here. So this is a set of images of me speaking at a conference. And it's a picture of the inside of a nightclub where you can't see the floor, which 3 weeks before only had about 50 people in it. And the
images don't show up in the chat for me. Do they show up for you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
I can send you. Oh, let me post a link to the tweet as well, because then you can just see it there. So basically, I was talking to a room full of people who were, like those midwives and property managers and all of those kind of things. And I was talking to them about a nightclub and teenagers getting drunk. And they were seeing the value in, I was showing you can do this and you can achieve this using social media. But at the same time, a little bit blanking, how's this relevant to me as a midwife? To which obviously the answer is exactly what you said there about making the social media work for you, is they spent no budget because they understood what the audience that they had wanted. And so if you can apply that to your own industry, what is it that your people want? Once you understand what drives and motivates them, you can actually make them do the advertising for you. I like to use Starbucks as an example when I talk about people thinking that they're making decisions for things. If you look for Starbucks on Instagram or pretty much any media, the most common picture of a Starbucks is a cup with a name on it. Yet you think you made that decision. Their marketing department made you take that photo because guess what? They spelt my name wrong.
Yeah.
And how many people have put that same image up and where's it written? Next to their branding. So it's from a marketing point of view, as soon as you do something like that, people are out doing that for you, you now don't have to pay someone to do your marketing because everyone's doing it for you.
Yeah, and they've actually claimed that there's some companies that actually send out a blank email, and then they'll send like an apology email, and then people will tweet about the fact that they sent an apology email, and then it's just really great PR. I mean, there's so many ways to spin it, right? And I think at the end of the day, I think if people are aware of how they can leverage social media to create that impact and to create those brand ambassadors, like SoulCycle is a really great example of that. I don't know if you guys if they're actually in Australia, but SoulCycle is like a cycling brand. Yeah. And you pay $35 per class, which is a lot of money. When hot yoga came out, it was $25 and everyone was freaking out. And then they came and they said, no, $35 for a class, right? And if you look up SoulCycle as a hashtag on Instagram, the amount of people that are hashtagging them and posting about them because their stores and their classes are so beautiful is absolutely insane. And they have really built a cult around their brand. So they have 86,000 people tagging them. Yeah. Right. Wow. So they're making a huge impact, right? Socially, because they understand how to set up their stores, set up their brand, set up their social media so that people want to engage with them, right? Just like the Starbucks example you made.
We've got a chain of hotels here in Australia called QT Hotels, and we did our conference there last year. Okay. And as soon as I walked in there, I was like, "This is so Instagrammable." Like it was.
That's just a word, right?
It is. I mean, I'd never heard it before, but it just came out of my mouth as soon as I saw it. Because as you walk in, you're given little lemonades with straws in it, and it's just simple things that wouldn't have cost them much money at all. But at the end of the conference, I looked at our Instagram feed with our hashtag, and it was just pictures of lemonades with straws and little chocolates that were in everyone's room when they arrived, and decals on the lifts with women in bikinis, and it was all very chic, and all of their hotels have a different kind of vibe to them. But just they reverse engineer social media.
I mean, that's kind of the same with like most things that because as well as social, we help people with practical bits of their business. It's a bit like, what's the end result? And then how do you work back towards it? It's like, if you want people putting stuff on Instagram, make it really easy for that to happen. Well-lit environment, like bright colors, like blank spaces, I'm actually just going to tie in quickly here before you jump in, Zaba, Darren actually nicely led me in there by talking about girls in bikinis, and this isn't anything too dodgy, is talking about reverse engineering. I don't know if you guys have seen Frank's Bod. It's a coffee body scrub. It's actually, so basically, if you look at their Instagram feed, it is literally pretty much naked people covered in body scrub, because the customers are creating all the content because they get it, and then they've made it so that you feel like you should submit your images of you using the body scrub, because that's how they've done it. And the voice of the company on social media is as if the coffee scrub is talking to you. I feel great all over your body kind of voice. And so it then encourages other people to do it, to see if they can get the brand to talk to them. And so it's a really good usage example for that. So
they have the Frank effect, the Frank body. I mean, people are just creating hashtags off of what they're actually wanting to do, right? Which kind of reminds me of when Snapchat did the Straight Outta Compton promotion, or when that movie decided to utilize Snapchat, and how many people decided to screenshot that Snapchat with the filter and actually put it on Instagram. And then it started trending on Instagram. So it was interesting how something starts on one social channel and then actually moves over, right? And sort of that cause and effect. I mean, that's pretty powerful, right? If you think about how many people are actually the impressions you're getting, if you're able to trend something on Instagram, that is a lot of impressions. So
yeah, I mean that's it. If you understand the audience that you're marketing to, is that you might, your preferred platform might be, hey, we're going to put everything out through Twitter because that's for us the easiest thing for us to use and to manage. That doesn't mean that Instagram won't be a really big marketing tool for you if you engineer it right, because you're encouraging people to share your stuff from one place to another, which could be a really powerful tool, like empowering your users, your customers and things like that to do it. It's like letting them take ownership. When we built our brand in the UK, we empowered our staff by giving them the knowledge about everything to do with the company, and then they built the brand for us. So it's the same with the customers, and same with when you're building a team and your staff, is how can you empower them? It's so that they're taking ownership of things and they're kind of driving it. All you're doing is kind of just steering it in the direction that you want it to go.
Yeah, I recently went to a sushi place that makes sushi poke bowls. And the first thing I thought when I sat down was, why are there ugly wooden tables? And why are they not white? Because white is so much better as a backsplash for food pictures than wood is, right? If all of their pictures had white tables instead of mahogany wood that was clashing with the color contrast of their actual bowl, it would make a huge impact in the quality of their social media. And that's the first thing I thought. And I was like, I should go tell the owners this.
Did you tell them?
I haven't yet, because I found out I actually know a lot of people who know the owners. So I decided I might take that route.
Go that route, yeah.
Yeah, because I mentioned it to someone. They're like, oh, my cousin owns it. And I said, oh, great. I got a couple of tips for your cousin.
Yeah, I mean, that's for me, like, so coming from a hospitality background, and I walk into any hospitality place, I think, how could this be done better? You know, because I understand the hospitality side, but now I'm in the marketing world, is how do you tie those two things together? And one of the really big things, I forget, I heard it on someone else's broadcast this week, was about not being afraid to learn from other industries. Because, like I said, I just gave an example of filling a nightclub full of teenagers to get drunk as an example to teach a midwife how she could find her potential clients, or a property manager how to do it, was the underlying message to it, and what you're doing, and just finding a way to customize it. And one thing that I had myself as an example was, I got a really random job where I was asked to go and photograph, and it was like, oh, we need some corporate headshots. And I was like, okay, cool, brilliant. No information about the company at all at this point. And I'm like, well, you know, photography job's a photography job, right? So then I get a little bit more information, and I find out it's a financial institution, to which preconceived ideas, I'm thinking this is going to be guys who are like 40, 50, 60. It's going to be like grey suits, you know, your very typical thing. Get there, not a single person in the management team was over 30. And they were all from a marketing background, and had realised by taking their knowledge from marketing and moving it into the finance world, they could earn 4 times as much money, because they were applying the same principles to an industry that didn't know how to do it. And so the reason they were having their corporate headshots taken was because they were getting so much media attention that they wanted to control what their image looked like when it went online. And so obviously it became this really fun shoot on a balcony with like AstroTurf and all sorts. And like literally half an hour, 40 minutes, I was like, okay, we're cool, we're done. They're like, oh, we didn't even realize you'd been shooting, because I had them just doing what they did and having fun and talking to each other.
Yeah, which is much more natural. And that's a lot about what Mitch Jackson talks about in terms of, you know, lawyers in that space. You know, most lawyers are actually, you know, don't have a social presence. You don't want to be known, right? But actually being able to go into spaces like that social is not as common, and disrupting it and being that one person and that one expertise, he has gotten so much more PR because he has made himself known. And for that reason, big publications, when they're looking for someone as an expert in live streaming or in IP or privacy issues, right, they're going to go to him because he's the only one that's talking about it openly, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how just kind of putting your content out there, and you never know who's going to see it, right? And so that's really what's important.
I mean, the other thing with that is about talking to, like, this goes back to, like, I refer to Kerry Phipps a lot, because she's written a book about do talk to strangers, in the fact that you don't know who all these people are. And I have a really good example, traveling back from the UK back to Australia, obviously sat on 3 different planes next to 3 different people. And obviously, hey, you know, what's your reason for traveling? You've got a reason to talk to them. You're on a plane, right? Are you traveling for work or for pleasure? Like, there's so many different ways you can open a conversation. And I actually ended up sat on, I think it was on my second plane, I was sat next to the guy who's the head of security of a massive pharmaceutical company. So to look at him, you'd have no idea that that's what he did for a job. But we exchanged details, and he was like, oh, you gave this big speech about teamwork. That'd be great for our business. Here's my card, which I could have not had that conversation. Could have just sat down, headphones on, and watched 3 movies or whatever. But having that quick conversation kind of opened a whole world of opportunities. And live streaming does the same. Like, we don't know who's in the chat. Like, we can see faces and stuff like that, but realistically, you don't know. Someone here might work for, your IBM or LinkedIn, and go, oh, we love the stuff you were talking about that. How would we use that? And so kind of using those opportunities. Hey, Mom, Saba, Mom.
Hi, nice to meet you. I wanted to address one of the questions that was in the chat. Stevie said, who has most inspired you in your life, and what qualities in a person resonate most with you? And I just, so it makes sense. Your mom is in here. I would say in addition to my parents, who have they have a lifelong impact in your life, and they're constantly giving you feedback. I think just really meeting people who are empathetic to the journey that everyone is on, and kind of how difficult it is to sometimes start. And I think one of the people that really inspires me is Gary Vaynerchuk, because he's very real about how difficult it is, and how consistent you need to be, and how you have to truly be empathetic and giving, and you have to provide value to the people that you're helping, right? So when you're starting out, although you constantly want to think about yourself because you feel like you have something to prove, it's actually much more valuable and goes a long way in building relationships if you just give value to people, right? If you go on their shows, if you go speak for them, if you get on a 30-minute call with them. And so I really admire those entrepreneurs and their business people, or those personalities who really understand what it means to be a part of a community. So I think those people really inspire me the most, right? Where they're willing to help you out for, 30 minutes or an hour, or give you time on their show, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing more valuable than like exchanging meaning. Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hi, doing good. Dinner can wait. It's a blab.
Blab takes priority, come on.
Nice to meet you, Lynn.
Wait.
That's right.
Thanks for jumping in, Dawn. I saw you're always keen there, and always so complimentary online. And I mean, things like that kind of element makes me want to say, how much can I help you? Like that. This is kind of what happens in the community, is that the people who are there supporting you and spreading your information and helping you to connect with new people, you kind of want to reach out. This is what I said about the law of reciprocation earlier on, is if you're doing something good for someone else, then they kind of naturally feel like they want to do something to help you at any opportunity. So how can we help you, Dawn? Tell me how I can help you right now.
Right, you could go make my dinner for me. That would be awesome.
Tell them the chef. That's what it is, isn't it? You're trying to cash it.
Listen, he came to the UK and he did make me a cake. He made me a cake, but that was it. Oh no, I think you made a breakfast, didn't you, one day?
Yeah, breakfast and a cake. But to be fair, it was a whistle-stop tour to my mum's house and a conference tour.
It was. So. He was in the UK three weeks, but I saw him for 2 days, I think, didn't I?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Well, I just very, very much appreciate it. I mean, I was just at a conference last week about mentoring, something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And I actually spoke at the last part about using live stream, or just creating digital places, basically being hospitable. And a lot of the things that you all have been talking about are how do I create a good place? How do I create a place where people can learn, where people feel valued, where what they are sharing, can be amplified. So anyway, those are the kinds of things that I love learning. You guys are giving me like a graduate level, I get to pick your brains for free.
I have to say though, I'm gonna interrupt you a second, Dawn, because I have to give Dawn some massive props here, because Dawn actually sent me a compiled Twitter list of all the. So talking about sharing knowledge, make sure you contact Dawn about that kind of stuff as well, because that was gold. Like those things are like, you think, oh, I should go and do that. I should go and check that out, and life gets in the way. And to have someone go, hey, here's a document that I made that's got everything you need in it was gold.
Well, thank you.
When are we having our meetup?
Yeah, I have to reschedule that now that I'm back in town. I found out that Saba is in Southern California. Like I am probably 45 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to get something back on because really the point of getting to meet in real life, I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, the folks I met in real life at this conference are just, I mean, especially when you're tracking in the same space, it's like, I want to move that online. Well, when you meet cool people online, I want to move it.
Bring it into
bring it into the other space.
Well, I got to do that because my flight came back through. I went London Heathrow to Dubai to Melbourne, and the Melbourne flight came in last flight at night, and I had an overnight wait till the morning to come back to Sydney. But that was great because there's loads of people I'm working with online who are based in Melbourne, so I was just tweeted them. They picked me up. We went to the casino because it's like the only place that's open at that time of night. And, we chilled out, got to meet each other in real life, have a little chat and a catch up. And then I went back to the airport, which was cool. And now I really want to book flights to go back to Melbourne again. So,
well, I just found, talking about sharing useful information, I was on, and then I'll hop off, but Tech Stud posted in his stream a thing called I think it's Tweeps Map or Twitter Map or something like that. And it's the perfect thing if you're going to be traveling. I had a layover in Chicago, and if I had thought about it, I could have sent a tweet out, and you can find your Twitter followers. And it doesn't mean you have to, but you literally can just contact the people by city. And that's just, that's so wonderful. Cool. Yeah, so for me, I know that Mitch said when he's going to prosecute a case in a different city, he'll go take a look at the city. He'll get the newspaper from that area because you really want to, get a piece of a feel for that area. It's like, if I'm going to be serendipitously, if that's a word, in a city, why not? Why not take advantage of that chance to, buy someone a cup of coffee? I mean, I would love that. Or a pint. So
yeah, it's great.
Anyway.
I am conscious that we're a little bit over the extra time now, so I am actually going to wrap up. Big thanks to everybody. Thanks, Saba, Dawn, Mum, everyone.
I can go to bed now.
For jumping in. Yeah, Mum is in the UK. It is probably like 1 in the morning or something.
It's 10 past 1.
So this is how dedicated she is to doing it and being involved and helping people as well. Is that if there's a way that she can do it, even if it's at an awkward time, she'll do it. And to be fair, she's a bit like me where she sleeps at really weird times as well. So thanks a lot to everybody. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I am actually going to go through and see if there's anything that I missed because normally when Vincenzo and myself are on, we kind of flip between and watch that.
Thanks, everyone.
Unfortunately, he was caught on a train in New York City today. So thank you very much to everybody for coming in. And we do this show at the same time every week. So if you enjoyed this show, please do go and check out all the future broadcasts we've got coming up. There's some other stuff like the show that I do with Stephen Caggiano, which you can check out on our Blab channel, which is blab.im/ATW networking. Please do also, if you enjoy the stuff that we're doing, please do feel free to tweet it out because people can watch the replay. And also, if you wanted to connect with us outside of here, you can get hold of us on Twitter. It's the same Twitter handles. Be sure to connect with this cool lady over here, at Lynn Blacklegs. That's my mum. She's delivering lots of knowledge bombs from a different angle. So I'm a little bit hectic. She's a little bit more calm. So maybe that's more to your taste. So yeah, please do connect with both of us on Twitter. And we look forward to helping you more every week. So we'll catch you here, same time, same place.